Salut tout le monde, Coach Alex here, and in this video I'm going to be talking to you about my favorite online resources for finding new people to speak French with. Du coup, si vous êtes prêts, allez, c'est parti. Whenever someone says to me, Alex, I want to speak French more often, but I don't know anyone near me who speaks French, I always say to them, the internet is your best friend. L'internet est ton meilleur ami. Because it's true, in 2021, there really is no reason to go without French speaking practice when people thousands of miles away are at your fingertips. Alors, I'm going to break this video down into two main sections, en deux sections principales. The first of which is I'm going to talk to you about my favorite resources for finding conversation practice in French over the internet. And second of all, I'm going to talk to you about voice messages and using those to get even more out of some of these resources. So let's talk about that list of my favorite resources. First of all, and this is the one I use most of all, and I have used most of all in the last several years, and it is italki. italki.com. Now I want to say first and foremost, this video is not sponsored by any of the resources on this list, but I do have a special link for italki down in the description, which if you spend $20 on your account and then take classes, we both receive $10 in exchange for that. Now, italki is a great platform, and I've talked about them before on this channel, where you can find not just language exchange partners for free, but you can actually find conversation tutors and professional teachers. But we're talking mainly today about finding ways just to speak and express yourself. Now, language exchange partners are a really great tool if you can find the right one. Personally, I love opting for tutors because I get the whole time for myself in exchange for a small amount of money. There are thousands of people to choose from, so you can find the person whose schedule, time zone, and rates suit you the most. But they also allow you to search for free language exchange partners on there, someone whom you can speak French to and they can speak English to you to practice. And this is the reason why I pair my coaching students with a native tutor rather than recommend they immediately go and look for exchange partners, because exchange partners can be a great supplementary tool but tend to be kind of flaky and unreliable, and it takes some time to find the right one. So I absolutely love italki, and this is the first thing on my list. Second of all and third of all are two apps, very popular apps called HelloTalk and Tandem. Now, they may be apps rather than websites. italki has an app as well, but essentially all we're talking about here is tools to put you in contact with other people. The rest is up to you. These tools put you in contact with French native speakers or other learners who are at a higher level than you that you can practice spoken French with. So HelloTalk and Tandem are two really great ways and really popular ways of doing this. Fourth and fifth on the list are ConversationExchange.com and EasyLanguageExchange.com. Now, these websites are very similar. You sign up and you simply find language friends or language exchange partners for free. You read about them on their profile, you reach out, you contact them, and then you get the ball rolling, and then hopefully you find a long-lasting language exchange partner. I've tried both of these sites out, although I have more experience with ConversationExchange.com. When I first moved to France, I used it and I loved how simple it was. It's a pretty old school website, but I loved how simple it was because the premise is just that. It doesn't need to be a flashy website. We can all get carried away by that stuff. The point is putting you in contact with people you think you would have something in common with and get along with, and be able to practice your French in a safe, relaxed environment. So I think both of these sites do that really well. Next up, we have Meetup.com. So this isn't a tool or an app where you talk to people over the internet. It's a place where you find social events based on your own interests. And one of those is language exchange. This is what I used when I was still learning back in London. And when I first moved here, this is how I made my first few friends in Montpellier in France, by going to language exchanges that I found on meetup.com. So this is a great website. If you happen to live in an area where there are things going on in terms of in-person events, then meetup.com is the place I would recommend you to look for these language exchange events and find like-minded people like yourself. Now, social media should not be discounted as a great tool for you to find people with whom you have the interest of language learning in common. Yes, the previous websites and tools that I've mentioned, with the exception of meetup.com, are all dedicated to language learning, but social media has obviously far more people on it and therefore has the potential to put you in contact with other people who are enthusiastic about learning your language and who speak French as their native language. So going on the Instagram pages of French teachers, you can find like-minded learners of French in the comments, and you could strike up a conversation on there. And you never know, you might find someone with whom you could get along with and have an exchange. They might have a higher level than you. Alternatively, if you want to find French natives who want to practice their English, you can go on the profiles of English teachers who are French speakers. And in those comments, you will find lots of French speakers. One great example is English with Leah, and I'll put a link down in the description below, but she teaches English, but she's French, so her whole audience are French speakers. So that's a great way to find potential language exchange partners, and you already know you have something in common because you met within that context. But even in the comments here on YouTube, you never know who you might find. Strike up a conversation in the comments, and you never know, you could find someone ideal to speak with and practice your French. On top of social media, there are online games. These are things that I don't participate in a whole lot, but I know the huge YouTuber Ikena. He has done several videos where he shows off his polyglot skills talking with strangers in this game called VR Chat. It's an online world where you all have an avatar and you can go around and just talk to people. Now he does it talking in like goodness knows how many languages, but you could, if that's your thing, if you like online games, you could go in there and just try with your French.
Oh, non. Mais j'apprends français pour 6 ans en école, mais
donc tu peux comprendre facilement.
Je ne peux pas parler français.
Apprendre une langue dans l'école, oui, c'est dur, c'est pas facile.
You know, there's no one there to judge you because no one can see your face, and you can just go around and just practice your French, say whatever you can, try new phrases, whatever. So that could be a fun alternative to language exchanges or looking on social media for people. To close off this first section, the rule of thumb is basically anywhere where the common theme is French or language learning, you're going to find people easily who are interested in that because that is the theme which brought you into the same environment, right? Then if it's something you enjoy, i.e. maybe it's within the context of gaming, it's going to stick even easier. After that, it doesn't matter what tool you use, it's all about being consistent. These tools just put you in contact with people. It's up to you to form the relationship and the format that works best for you, that really helps you progress with your spoken French. So best of luck looking at any of those tools, and check out the links down in the description below. So in the second part of this video, I want to talk to you about voice messages. Whilst face-to-face conversation remains, in my opinion, the best way to improve your speaking, because it forces you to confront things like your discomfort when you're about to make a mistake, discomfort over how you possibly sound to the other person, that feeling of realizing when you don't know how to say something, that fear of generally making mistakes. That is the best way to overcome it, is by putting yourself in that situation. Voice messages can allow you to get a lot of the benefits of face-to-face conversation, but with less pressure. Now let me explain to you what I mean. You can confront the discomfort of not knowing something because you are pushing yourself to actually speak the language rather than simply write to the other person in all of these apps. And I'm talking even about WhatsApp, Instagram direct message. If you decide to meet up with someone, and instead of always meeting face-to-face or having a Skype call or meeting up in person, you will be texting throughout the day, perhaps like you do with any of your friends at the moment in English. But with French, a really great way to practice your speaking is to exchange voice messages. You get more time to think about what you want to say than in a real-time conversation. And one great benefit of it is that you can cancel with the swipe of your finger. If you think at any moment that you are speaking badly, you're saying something ridiculous.
Je suis chaud aujourd'hui. Ah, non, je veux dire j'ai chaud. Non, supprime.
And sure, depending on your style and who you are, you might end up cancelling a message 20 times before you send it, right? But that is the advantage you have with voice messages. Now, you don't get that chance in face-to-face conversations. And whilst I encourage you not to be perfectionist, there's a time and a place for things. Perhaps you deliberately want to speak to get more comfortable with using a certain expression. For example, like c'est pas grave, right? You wanted to make sure you were saying c'est pas grave as often as possible until it became natural. Now, you can't do that over and over again in a natural conversation, but what if you're exchanging voice messages with someone and they've said something to you, they made a mistake, and you want to say, oh, don't worry, c'est pas grave. You could say to yourself, right, as a rule, I'm gonna not send a voice message until I've said it 5 times or 10 times into the microphone or to myself, and then I'm going to send it. And that's the way you start to think of conversing with this person in French. You have to treat it differently. It's not an English conversation. You're doing this, you're speaking to this person primarily, although you get along with them, hopefully after a little while you're getting along with them really well. Primarily, you're speaking to them to practice your French. So have that mindset of, if I need to repeat it, that's even better, because it's going to stick in my head more easily in the long term. So yeah, while face-to-face conversation remains the best way of confronting all those awkward, uncomfortable feelings that we get when learning to speak another language, this does allow you to confront it to some degree, especially if you, in general, with yourself, you don't like the way you sound, or you don't like the feeling of making mistakes, and you're not ready to show that side of yourself to someone else. This can be a good compromise, and you can just start typing to someone, have an exchange partner where you just type to them, and then gradually you build up to speaking by sending voice messages. So that's a really good technique for practicing your speaking that one of my students brought to my attention several months ago, and I've since been doing a lot more voice messages with both French and Spanish, and I really wanted to share it with you today. By the way, guys, if you're enjoying this video, si la vidéo vous plaît jusqu'ici, please do not hesitate to give it a thumbs up. It really helps me in the YouTube algorithm. Alors, if you want to take your French further, but you feel kind of stuck, you don't feel like you're able to express yourself confidently, then I urge you to download my free guide called How to Become a More Confident French Speaker, with 6 of my top techniques that I have had to learn and employ over the last 6 or 7 years for my own French. You can get access to that via a link down in the description below. Merci beaucoup de m'avoir rejoint dans cette vidéo. Check out all the links down in the description for all the resources that I've mentioned today. Thank you so much to all my members on Patreon and on YouTube, les francophiles et les francofanatiques. Thank you so much for your support, and until next week, guys, I will see you in the next video. À la prochaine. Ciao.